All right, well, greetings, everybody. This is the It's Covered podcast because if you think insurance is boring, then you are not doing it correctly. I am Paul. I am here joined by Mel. Mel, how's it going?
Hello. How you doing, Paul?
So, some of you might be watching us right now. It's a little creepy, I have to say.
Very creepy.
You know?
You guys look crazy.
We are starting to try to video these recordings as well, which is going to not give me as much room to edit out all my ums, and so that's going to be awkward. We're gonna have to know what we're talking about the first time instead of saying, hold on, let me Google that. Don't worry, we'll edit this out so we don't appear like idiots.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
So actually, we don't know if this we don't know if this video is going to come out all that well. So this one might not have a video, but that's the hope. And I do apologize. I sprung this on you today.
That's
I was
right.
like, okay, we're bringing all the equipment up so that we can record a couple of episodes here. Yeah. Got it all set up, and I'm like, by the way, we're videoing this.
Yes.
And you look pretty.
Thank you. Gretchen told me that this morning as well. I said, thank you.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, there's something that I want to cover that was drilled into us in claims.
Yeah.
And still people didn't get it. But it was not drilled into the agencies as much, I don't feel like. And that is how we document a file.
Oh, yes.
And the reason it's hammered in claims is because when an insurance company gets sued for bad faith, very often the attorney for the plaintiff, which is the other person that's suing the insurance company, will try to get a hold of the claim file, including all the claim notes. Now, sometimes they're successful and sometimes they are not. The attorneys for the insurance company will claim, hey, no, that's work product, and work product is apparently not admissible in court. I'm an insurance guy, man. I don't have the foggiest clue.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Long story short, sometimes it's admitted, sometimes it's not. But you don't know beforehand what's going to be admitted, what's not going to be admitted.
Right.
And so they taught us, don't just say whatever you want to say in the file, thinking that this is all going to go well, that no one will ever see it except you and your friends because you pointed out to them. It's like, hey, take a look at what I put in the file. That's not going to work. And these things do come out in court sometimes. And so it looks really bad on the insurance company to have a file note projected, by PowerPoint on a screen, and you're in the witness stand and say, can you please explain why you called my client a frickin' moron?
Yeah. That's one of those things that whenever they tell you that, you try to imagine it, and you just can't. You're like, whatever, they're just paranoid.
Yes.
Until they call you in for a meeting, and they're showing anonymous entries into the system, and you find out one of those is yours, and they start pointing out how bad that could be.
Yes, those meetings are amazing until it's your file note.
Yes, which none of them were.
I did not get one on the screen, thankfully. But I ran across some, and agents, don't tune out on me. Don't tune out on me because I want to bring this to us. But we ran across one, and this was not my file. I know the person who handled this file, which is how I got to see it. But when the file was first opened, this guy, our customer in this accident, was I'm not a psychologist, but there's clearly some problems. I think that's the safe way to say it. It was clearly some problems.
Yes.
and you know, and dealing and trying to help him was a challenge for my friend. And I say my friend, you know her too. You know, but when this claim was first opened, the processor who made the initial phone call, you know, kind of got wind that something was amiss, and started, you know, trying to kind of give everybody the heads up. And so she got on the phone with the adjuster on the file and said, "Hey, yeah, this guy, you know, this is going to be a special case." And the adjuster, and this adjuster is not one that we know. She was on the file just briefly, but she put in the file that the processor called her, and the processor stated that she believes our customer is insane. And it's really frustrating because, like, the processor did the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, just giving you a heads up. You know, like, we're not psychologists. We are not able to diagnose this. But at the same time, when you talk to this person, it's going to be a challenge. And so, heads up. This is what's coming. And the adjuster was like, oh, well, there are a few people in claims that are just, you know, just really every conversation that we discuss about this claim must be documented, even though it has nothing to do with anything. And so if somebody calls me and says, "Hey, I think our customer is a little Looney Tunes," I've got to put that in the file. Yeah. And you don't have to put in the file quite like that.
Right.
And this is where we need to learn the language. That just, like, you know, and Mel, let me ask you, how would you word that? If you want to communicate that our customer is a taco short of a combo plate.
Yes. Well, I think.
You think taco short of a combo plate is a good way of?
Well, I gathered the meaning, and and that's where it should stay between us verbally about the.
But if you had to put in there, like, okay, like, let's just say this is pertinent to the claim because this person's mental state is preventing us from moving forward in the claim.
Right.
And he's not understanding some stuff because he doesn't seem capable to, you know?
Right.
And so, how do we word this?
Well, I think a good effective
I put him on
tool.
the spot on that.
Exactly. Well, I think a good effective tool is to quote.
Yes. Yeah, that's really good.
So quoting what the customer says, and whoever's reading it can gather their own opinion about what was said.
Yeah.
So I would say I was having a little trouble understanding the customer. I don't think the customer understood what I was saying. I said this. Customer replied with this.
Yeah. That's really effective. In fact, you know, we ran across some file notes in that same file by a friend of ours, another different friend. You know, you kind of make friends when you're in claims. You know
exactly.
all the people in this file, but where it was magnificent. It was magnificent. These particular file notes. I wish I could show them to you because they were great. Yeah, just so you know, I've told Melvin a little bit about this file, but you never had the pleasure of like reading it.
No, I didn't. I mean, hearing about it, I wish I did because
well, and obviously stuff that we're not going to talk about, you know, on the podcast, but
right.
But you know, one of our friends was very good at communicating the point without saying the words himself, and he did a lot through quoting. Some other people in the file, you know, just expressed like that. You know, I don't believe that the customer was able to understand what I was saying. You know, he kept changing the subject, that sort of thing. And so there are ways to talk about this, and here's where I want to kind of bring it over to the agent side too, because we have file notes too. We have, most of us are digital now, but we have some sort of digital, of some program, some app that is keeping track of our customers that we can notate.
Right.
And it is very good to notate because, as we always said in claims, if it's not noted, it didn't happen.
Right.
And so we can talk all day long about, well, no, they said that they didn't want rental coverage. Really, when was that? Well, I didn't write it down. Okay, it didn't happen.
Right.
And so documentation is very, very good, but you also need to be diplomatic about what you write, because if somebody is coming after you for one reason or another, and that person's attorney wants that file, your attorney might be able to keep it out of court, but you don't know that, and you do not want some of these file notes projected on a screen in front of a jury. And some attorneys say, Mr. Mel, is there some reason that you said about my client he's an ass getting butthurt about his claim?
Yeah, and try to explain that with no liquor in you.
Right. Well, what happened was yeah, okay, it just, and we all hope that juries decide cases based on fact and not emotion. Look a little deeper into criminal justice, and you're going to find that is not the case. So, that's going to just make you look really bad in front of a jury, and they might decide to take it out on you. That has happened many, many, many times before. And so we want to look professional, no matter who is looking at our file notes, no matter what. I know we've run across some file notes, not made by us, but we're in something that we read. Either we got the policy later, or somebody who came through our office that it's one of those things like, well, I'm glad this customer's going well, because apparently another agent working on it just went off about how much of temper this person has, and or see, that's exactly the kind of thing that I would edit out of the audio podcast. It's much harder on the video. And when we're in danger of violating this is when we're getting upset at the customer.
Yeah, I mean, there's at no point is that, I don't think, is it beneficial to anyone, because if you're going to tell me that the customer's a jerk, by the time I'm looking at the file, I already know that.
That's true. That's usually true.
So it's never helping when I'm trying to scour for the facts on certain information, and I have to read you whining about how you put up with the customer before. I just want to know the fact, because I'm dealing with the customer now, and whatever problem he has with our company or the situation or anything like that. So it just, I've never seen it help, just to find it funny at some point when we're not dealing with a problem.
Right. And especially in claims, the file notes are permanent.
Yeah.
You can't delete them.
That's right.
Depending on the program that we're using in the agency, they might be deletable. But then again, you don't have documentation of that phone call from the time that it happened. And so that's, that's, weighing it out. But, it's a heavy temptation when you've hung up that phone after dealing with some ass who's butthurt about something, and to just take it out on the file note. I can't believe what this jerkwad is saying. You know, and it is just in cases like that you know, I would much more recommend that you get up and go talk to a coworker that you trust. It's not going to stab you in the back later, rather than do it that way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in that, you know, that's the file notes that we come across. You know, being unreasonable. You know, I explained it 12 times. He's not understanding. He's some sort of idiot. You know, and just long term, even if it doesn't land in court, when we're coming back, it's now 3 years later, and we're dealing with the same customer about a problem, and I'm looking over the file notes. That doesn't help me.
Right.
You know, the facts of your call might. You know, and that's why we document it, is because it's very important to know the facts of a call.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of our encouragement for today. Is watch what we're putting in the file notes, because you do not know who's going to be reading them later. It might be a jury. It might be someone down the line who's trying to help the same customer and is trying to dig through your rants,
Yeah.
just to find that one piece of good information that they need, and vent your frustration in a different way that is not going to land in front of somebody else's eyes years down the road.
And encourage your coworkers to do the same thing. If someone gets off the phone and they're pretty mad, and you just hear them typing away at the keyboard, just kind of let them know, hey, you just may want to calm down before you start putting those entries in,
Right?
because
Yeah.
you want to be professional.
Read
Down the
over it
road when
later.
you're not as mad.
Right.
You just want to treat the customer proper, because we all have insurance and we all come across problems. So we don't want it done to us. Just
Yep.
don't do it to others.
Exactly. So, I think that about covers it. We really do thank you for joining us. If you are enjoying the program, please do take a moment to rate and review us on iTunes or Google Play or whatever, wherever you are listening to our program, whatever podcast catcher you are listening to. If you are catching us on YouTube or on our Facebook group, please do subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and we will be back next week with another topic. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. See ya.